Hello everyone. So we can see that a lot of participants have already joined. So let's start with today's session. So I think pretty much everybody is able to see my screen and hear me properly. So a quick confirmation in the chat window if everybody able to see and hear me properly over here. Okay, so let's start with today's session. So before starting, today's session, so I think everybody is clear about the agenda for today. So that what exactly we are going to discuss about in this webinar, and what are the different more topics which is covered in this webinar here. So before starting off with the actual topic, let's start with some introduction on the Devlabs so that you should be able to know that what kind of work we are doing here and what kind of programs and assignments we are providing there. So Devlabs, from the website also you can get the more description and the information about that. So it's basically a training and consulting company which basically provides workshops and trainings in DevOps. So a lot of topics like the important topics which is new in the organizations, which is like new in the market also, for like DevOps, automation, blockchain, machine learning, robotics, process automation, big data, and there are like AWS, Azure. So all the new technologies which is right now in demand in the market in the organizations, it's basically being provided by the Dev Labs, and basically they're providing you as a placement or opportunities and placement programs also there, along with the certifications and various services has been provided by the Dev Labs there. And we basically our main goal and agenda is that so that we provide you a cutting edge technology training so that you should be able to excel in your career point. So if you are working as a developer, or for instance if you're working as a tester and you want to improve or improvise your career, so you can choose the various topics like DevOps, cloud, or anything like that, anything like sort of that particular topic, and then you can proceed further with that course with us and excel or improve your skill set also there. So because nowadays the market is very agile and there are a lot of opportunities which is there in DevOps, so definitely you can upgrade yourself by taking our training, and you will be able to see that how exactly DevOps gets implemented, how organizations are using it by various scenarios. So there are a lot of stuff, there are a lot of scenarios and practicals which is there in this in these courses, which will help you to evolve that skill level to a certain level so that you should be able to understand that how actually that particular thing is going on there. Obviously the expertise and all that comes with the number of years there, but at least it will give you a kickstart to to land in that particular career opportunity, or to land in that particular career perspective there. So these are something which is we provide, we develop, we help you to enrich your career in such a way that you master your skills and you will be able to learn new things and work on those technologies there. So that is what our agenda is there with the whole training programs, and helping out the participants, helping out the students to excel in their career point. So that is what we have the introduction for the dev labs there, and more you will get it from the websites, that what are the courses we are providing, what are the different technologies and services we are providing there. So it was just a summary of the whole organization. So before actually starting with the with the real topic of configuration management tool, so I want to explain about myself, that what kind of skill set I am holding and what kind of training programs I perform there. So my name is is Anuj Sharma, and I am working as a full-time DevOps engineer in one of the US bank. And from last 8 years, I'm working in DevOps only. Earlier, I worked as build and release for 1 or 2 years, and then I moved directly to DevOps there. So my whole responsibility in my organization is to take care about all the DevOps operations, bringing the releases to the production environment, managing all the lower end environments there. Apart from the organization, I'm working as a freelance DevOps trainer and consultant also. I'm working with a lot of consultancies in Bangalore and US. I handle their freelance tasks on DevOps. I also provide DevOps supports to the organizations. I am also, providing the training modules, trainings on DevOps, their certifications on DevOps, AWS training, DevOps. Ansible, Puppet, all the Docker, Kubernetes, all these technologies. I'm giving training from last 3 to 4 years there. So apart from my organization, I'm working on a lot of other freelance opportunities in DevOps, and I'm giving a lot of support to the different participants there, which gives me a more understanding on their on different platforms and different environments. So that's the kind of exposure I have gained in last over 7 to 8 years there. So that's what was my introduction there. So let's start with the actual course for which we have gathered here. So we are going to talk about the configuration management tool. So let's see if we have everybody on mute so that we should not have any kind of interference in the recordings there. So I'm just muting everybody here. So after every 1 hour, I will be taking some pause. For example, we started off at 11 o'clock there. So around 12 o'clock, I'll give 5 to 10 minutes of the time, and then we'll take some queries and questions there. And after 1 hour, we are going to see that some of the next content there, and then again I will open the question hours, and you can ask your questions and doubts regarding this whole topics there. So that is how we are going to run there, right? So let's start with this particular module, this configuration management. Now, before going or before actually, discussing about this configuration management tool, first of all, let me give you a summary that how this configuration management tool comes into the picture, and how exactly it have evolved over the period of time. So when I basically started off as a build and release engineer, I used to hear about this configuration management tool like Puppet and Chef, only limited to the Linux or only limited to the infrastructure team. So when this configuration management tool first gets launched, it was there only for the operation teams, because they were using this tool to create the virtual machines, to manage the virtual machines. If they want to manage, or if they want to install some updates or some softwares on different servers, they were using this tool to to do it on multiple servers or all together on the same time. So it was basically used, and was basically used by the only Unix team, and the system administrators, or the Windows administrators, or these persons only. It was not used in the development, or it was not used by any other team there. So the operation teams were only using this tool when the Puppet and Chef was there in the market. But at the same time, when these tools was there in the organizations like 5 to 7 or 10 years back also, there was an evolution in our software industry, and everybody knows about that evolution is the DevOps part there. So when slowly DevOps comes into the picture, the gap between the development and the operation teams gets reduced over the period of time, and organizations started getting integrated, and started collaboration between each other. And so at that particular time, this tool called configuration management tool also comes into the development team, and also you get started for the deployments, for the deployment automation, for doing various tasks on the servers. So it got also absorbed by the development team there. So that is where this tool, these tools gets improved at such a level there, that they started getting integration with other tools also, like Git, monitoring tools, with the applications Apache, Tomcat. So they started giving these kind of modules, these kind of integrations with this configuration management tool. So this is the overall history, that how over the period of time this tool moved from only from the operation teams to the DevOps or to the development team also. So this is the transition which happens, due to which these tools became so much popular, that nowadays this is an integral part of your organization, and no organization can function or can manage their servers without this configuration management tool. So it's a very important tool for your organization to work, and without this tool you will be facing a lot of difficulties and issues while managing your infrastructure. So that's the popularity, and that's the importance of using this configuration management tool. And this is one of the main skill set which a lot of organizations nowadays are looking forward from a DevOps engineer perspective. All the other tools like Jenkins, Git, uh, you know, build tools, and Maven. These are all the old tools. The developer can also perform these tasks there. But specifically, if you talk about the DevOps, organizations are looking forward for this, and configuration management tool. Specifically, this skill set, they are looking forward for this one because this is something which is an integral part of DevOps nowadays, and no organization can function or can manage their operations without this particular tool. So that's the importance of this configuration management tool, and that is the reason why we are talking about this over the period of time today here, right? So that was the the journey which a configuration management basically used there from the operation teams to the DevOps there. Now, talking about why exactly that shift happened, why only configuration management tool when it was used, when it was basically being used in the operation teams, why it is started being used in the development team. The reason is that over the period of time, with the introduction of cloud and with the introduction of virtual machines, now we don't have a huge server of 125 GB RAM, and we are deploying our application, we're deploying a production application on that. Now we are having a cluster. We are having different nodes. We are having 20 servers cluster, 30 servers cluster, 40 server cluster. So the number of servers are expanding due to this introduction of these virtual machines. Due to which, what happened, that all these organizations, they're saying that we have all these virtual machines created. Every These virtual machines are quite cheaper to create also. And with the introduction of further AWS, Azure, and Google Clouds, they are even providing the much cheaper virtual machines over internet. So the expansion of the infrastructure and the way that these servers gets cheaper in the organization, that basically again gives us the comfort that organizations are looking forward that yes, uh, the servers are quite cheaper, so we can increase the number of servers in our cluster in order to have a failover. So we are having like 200 servers, 300 servers also in some organizations for some applications there. Probably these applications like Amazon.com, Flipkart, they are having thousands of servers in their applications because they don't want to rely on only one server. So these kind of situations have made the infrastructure so complex that they need a software in order to manage all these things. And like I said, that configuration management tool is one of the tool which is perfect for this kind of situation, where they can say that all these managements, all these servers can be easily management or can be easily managed with a single tool itself. So configuration management tool is a single tool which can manage 1000 servers, 200 servers, 3000, any number of servers you name it. It can be managed easily with the help of this configuration management tool. That is the reason why this tool is considered as important there. So due to the increase in the infrastructure, due to more and more complex infrastructures nowadays, this configuration management tool becomes quite important and quite famous also in the organizations there. So what are the various tasks which basically configuration management does? First of all, it gives you a comfort to manage all the infrastructure at one location. From a single server you can manage all the infrastructure. It is easy to install updates across multiple servers at a single command or at a single button itself. You can restart a couple of servers. You can do the Apache installation, Tomcat. You can install the security updates on all the servers with a single command itself. And you can also deploy 3-4 applications if you want to do on 3-4 servers. You can easily do it with the help of this configuration management tool. So when we talk about the bulk operations, when we talk about the bulk transactions, configuration management tool is one of the tool which helps you to achieve that. So that's the overall benefits, or that's the overall purpose of using the configuration management tool. So moving ahead, let's talk about more on the configuration management tool. So I think this is the situation, this is the same scenario which I have already explained you, that why exactly the configuration management tool was got famous, or got so much popularity and attention here. So this is the situation where, let me open the annotation here. So this is the situation where before the configuration management tool, we were used to for example, there are 4 servers, so we have to manage all the 4 servers there. And since we are doing all the things manually, so what happens that at a particular time we will not be able to manage all the 4 servers, right? For sure. So what we used to do is we used to take the individual servers one by one. Now the whole purpose or whole the problem of taking the servers one by one is that if somehow you miss out one single line, or if somehow a small command is not executed properly, there will be only 3 servers out of 4 servers which is stable, and one server will not be a stable thing, because we are doing all these changes one by one manually on all these servers. And it is a human nature for the errors. So there could be a possibility that some error may come up on one of the node there, one of the server, and that can impact your whole cluster over here. So in this cluster, there were 4 servers, out of which you did perfectly on the 3 servers. But yes, for the 4th server, you did the mistake, and that server is not having the healthy environment there. So this is the situation which happens when you do the things manually with the help of this, without having the introduction or without having any kind of implementation on configuration management tool here. But on the other hand, if we have the situation here, if we have the implementation of configuration management tool, all the web servers, database servers, application servers can be easily managed with the scripts, with the Puppet or any configuration management tool. And you don't have to worry about that if one server will be impacted, 2 servers will be impacted, because you are running the same kind of procedure on all the servers, and it will be executed, or it will be perfectly executed on all the servers there. So that's the reason of using, that's the purpose of using this configuration management tool, because it helps you to achieve a standardization, that if you want to implement all, or if you want to implement all these tasks or changes on this particular servers, so that is what you're trying to implement on these servers here. So whether it's a web server, whether it's a database server, whether it's an application server, all the servers can be easily managed with the Puppet over here. Suppose we are having 50 database services for different applications, so you cannot sit on each and every server, do SSH on each and every server, and say that I'm going to do all the changes manually there. So it's basically very difficult to do that. So in that case, what happens? We basically, uh, you know, uh, basically say that okay, we can introduce the configuration management tool, and with that we can have a standardization process, that this is the file which you need to touch. Suppose you need to modify some parameter in Oracle. So there are 30 servers of Oracle, so you can write a script in Puppet or any configuration management tool, and when you run it, it basically gets created, or it basically gets installed on on one of the system, or it basically gets implemented on a basic server sets there. So all the 40 servers will be executed, or on all the 40 servers this implementation or these configurations will be executed there. So whenever we are trying to achieve that, yes, I'm going to do a parameter change on all the 30 servers, we will choose a configuration management tool, because this configuration management tool will only ensure that all the modifications which you're trying to perform can be done effectively on all the servers there. There is no human intervention, so definitely there will be no scope of error over here. So that's the main advantage of using this configuration management tool over the multiple servers or over your infrastructure here, right? Now, so with the configuration management tool, you don't have to worry about, for example, earlier you in your application you are managing 3 servers. So it is in your scope that you can manage 3 servers for your application. That's a very minimum number of servers in any kind of application there. But tomorrow, if suppose it's increased to 6 servers, and then it increased to 9 servers, so you cannot rely on the manual steps. You cannot rely on the manual procedure to say that okay, today is 3 servers, then again 6 more servers comes up, I will do the setup for them. It is just like the servers count can keep increasing there, and you have to follow, or you have to do all these things manually there. So at a particular time, it becomes very difficult for you to manage all these resources So configuration management tool will provide you a platform where n number of servers can be increased there, and you don't have to worry about the configurations because all of those servers will be attached to the configuration management tool, and from there you can manage or you can do whatever you want on any specific server there. So that's the comfort which we get with the help of configuration management tool, right? So this is also, one of the situation in which we say that, okay, that's suppose we if we are getting the deployment, or if we want to deploy it onto the test environment, and then we have to deploy it on the production deployment. So it is basically manual there without having any kind of implementation, or without having any kind of task there. It is basically we are doing the separate deployment. So on desktop server we are connecting and then doing the deployment, and on prod server we are connecting and then doing the deployment. So it's kind of a time consuming for the developer also, and it can it cannot be performed in parallel. So definitely it will take more and more time consumption for the developers there, or the person who is doing the deployments and all those tasks there. But on the other hand, it is quite easy in case of configuration management tool, because there it is basically being attached to the configuration management tool, and from there you can send the request to the test environment also, and parallelly you can send it to the prod server also there. So both of them will be executed parallelly, independent of each other there. So you don't have to manage anything else there. So whatever the things you have mentioned, that okay, these are the resources which you're trying to modify, that will be modified on those environment there, and you don't have to worry about that how to do those modifications, how those modifications are being done there. So all those things, all those information will be taken care by the configuration management tool itself. So you don't have to worry about those changes, and everything will be done by this configuration management tool. So all these problems are the real time which we face in the organizations. That is the reason why this configuration management tool comes into the picture, and it helps us to implement, or it helps us to to achieve that kind of automation in our application there. Right. Now, the next thing is that what is the problem when we were when we are doing some kind of implementation. For example, I have deployed I have deployed or installed a new version of an application there. I want to roll back, or I want to do a rollback of that particular software. So I'm using Apache 6 version. I want to roll back to Apache 5 version there. So how to do that? So in case of without configuration management tool, obviously we have to do the removal of that software manually, and then an installation of that software also manually also there. So everything will be manual in case of without configuration management tool. But in case of configuration management tool, what we can do is that we can say that okay, the in this one what we have to do, in the single script or in the single procedure itself, request itself, you will remove the old version also, and then you will be installing the new version also there. So you can merge the multiple requests also. Any kind of upgrade or uninstallation you can achieve with this configuration management tool. And for example, if you write a script in configuration management tool and run it, you can do it across 100 servers, 200 servers, or 300 servers there. So that's the whole purpose, that you don't have to do the things manually. You just have to code what kind of modifications, what kind of changes you want to do, and then rest everything will be done, will be taken care by the configuration management tool itself. So that's the different purpose of using the configuration management tool. And with this feature only, this alone feature gives the most of the popularity to this configuration management tool. All the other features are something which you can achieve with the shell scripts, or with the help of any kind of automation also there. But running the same script, writing the script once and then running across all the servers, is one of the feature which is available there in this configuration management tool, and that is the reason why these became so popular in the organizations there, right? So this is the benefit which basically gives us the complete understanding that how this whole setup or how this whole configuration is done. right now. So configuration management tool and deployment tool for IT automation. Like I said, that it is not only doing the changes, or it is not only doing the patches or these kind of infra related tasks. It is also being used in the deployment as a deployment tool in the DevOps space here. So the various configuration management tool is Chef, Puppet, Ansible, SaltStack. Over the period of time, these tools have evolved, have been into the into the DevOps here. The first and the oldest tool is Puppet. After that, the Chef comes into the picture, and then Ansible and SaltStack. So Puppet and Chef are basically the Ruby based or Ruby on Rails based uh, configuration management tool. We need to write the scripts in Ruby language, whereas Ansible and SaltStack are those configuration management tool in which we basically write or we basically create the scripts in the YAML format. So these are the two different categories which is basically available there for this configuration management tool. So Puppet and Chef, falls into the same category of configuration management tool, whereas on other hand, Ansible and SaltStack are being there in one category of the tools here. So these two categories of tools are available there, in which we can create our scripts, we can manage our infrastructure there. So, but the thing is that these tools are decided on depending on your infrastructure, on your requirements, and once your requirement is configured, then only this infrastructure or this kind of things are configured and implemented in your organizations. So it's purely your choice which tool you want to select. Pretty much each and every tool is giving a lot of benefits and a lot of you know uh, tasks or a lot of things in your application there. So basically, whatever you want to have, whatever the way you want to implement, you can easily implement it with your application there. Right now, so I'm continuously talking about that, how exactly we can write the scripts and all. What we call it as that. So we call it as that infrastructure as code, where we create the scripts, and we say that okay, we are creating the scripts, and that is what we call it as infrastructure as code. So we are coding the infrastructure items, the things which we are trying to do in this infrastructure, or the things which we are trying to do it into this infrastructure. That is what we call it as infrastructure as code here. So this is what we basically help, which we basically provide here, that how exactly that we are basically creating, or how exactly we are managing all these resources by coding, that this is how this is the setup, or this is the configurations which we are doing here. That's the part of this setup here. So what exactly is the infrastructure as code? Infrastructure is a code is nothing but the kind of automation, the kind of a scripting which we are doing in this configuration management tool. For example, you want to install Apache web server, and you want to install some PHP modules. So you will code it into the scripts, into the Ruby here in case of Puppet, in case of Ansible it's YAML. So you will code in these kind of configuration management tool, and when you run it across the various servers, whether it's a dev environment, test environment, or prod environment, the same code can be used in a lot of other servers there. Which means that if you want to do a Apache Tomcat installation on 200 servers, you have to write the script at once, and then when you run it on across all the 100 servers or 200 servers, it will perform the same task on all the servers there. So you don't have to manage, or you don't have to execute these steps one by one on each and every server there. Collectively it will be executed on all the 200 servers or 300 servers there. So that's the benefit of using this uh, you know these scripts, and the whole process we call it as infrastructure as code. You see here that this code, for example, if it is integrated with the Puppet, that same code can be executed on any environment there, any platform like dev, test, and prod, and it will be basically executed on all those platforms there. So this is how the infrastructure as code looks like. For example, if you want to create a user called Spock, You want to create the group ID as science, you want to create the home directory as Spock, and you want to create the sh or the shell prompt as the sh there. So you will write all these things, all this information you will provide there, and you will ensure that this infrastructure as code which you're writing, the code which you're writing which is having the infrastructure parameters, this will help you to create, or this will help you to to create some of the components or some of the resources on the multiple servers there. Now, if write or if I run this scripts on 200 servers, on all the 200 servers, this Spark user will be created in a standard way. So in order to achieve the standardization, this tool is perfect where you will only write the script once, and that is where you will be able to achieve and work on this automation there. But it is not something that every task you have to do it, you have to write this automation scripts there. Most of the configuration management tools are having more than 70 to 80% scripts already there. For example, if you want to implement Apache server, you don't have to write the script from scratch. It is already available there on the chef store there, from where you can download this infrastructure as code, and you can try to run it there. So most of the, whenever we get any requirement in organization, right, so the least task we do is that we quickly find out if any kind of module or any kind of script is already available there. So we research on that part, and if we found out that okay, this module is already present, or this particular uh, scripts is already available there, we choose it and we start working on that part there. So there is a huge reusability there across the community. There, these scripts are available on the community there, from where we can easily download it, and we can say that okay, these are the things which we are going to we are going to extract, and we are going to work on that part. So you don't have to every time write the scripts from scratch. Most of the times it's available there on the marketplace, from where you can download it, and you can simply start utilizing those scripts there. So that's the main purpose of using this configuration management tools. Right? So whatever the workflows which we have defined, or which we have explained in this, in the scripts, all those gets executed on different servers there, and you just have to write these things once, and multiple times it can be executed on different servers there. So not every time you have to put on your efforts there. And also, if you have created this script once, you can put it there in your Git repositories, and next time you don't have to write this for the next project or something like that. So you have to preserve all these things, and you can paste it or you can keep it there with you, and you don't have to worry about all those things, because it will be safe, and anytime you can refer it and execute it there. So that's the whole purpose of using this introduction infrastructure as code, which helps you to to implement all these configurations in a standard and in a perfect way. Okay, so this is the purpose. This is the whole purpose of writing the scripts, and we call it as the infrastructure as code. It's a normal terminology which we use in case of configuration management tool here. So these are the various tasks which can be done in case of with the contribution of configuration management tool. It helps to track all the changes or all the software changes which we are doing on the application. It also helps us to understand what are the different infrastructure changes which you're trying to perform on your infrastructure, on your architecture here. So all these things is basically available, or it's basically only possible with the help of this configuration management tool here. Right? So the same infrastructure code can be created once and can be executed on multiple servers there. So if you write the script for deleting a older version of Oracle, and then installing a new version, So you just have to write it once there, and multiple times you can run it, or you can run it on 200 servers, 300 servers, all together you can do it. So you don't have to write the separate script for separate server only once, and then it will be executed on all together on all the servers there. So this is what we achieve in case of infrastructure as code. It can be stored in source control systems, and whatever the versioning, whatever the changes or modifications we want, we can do it to that particular repository and to those changes there. So that's the whole purpose of using this infrastructure as code. So in configuration management. So this is the traditional infrastructure management, like how the earlier before configuration management tool, the things are being managed manually. We used to do the release manually there on each and every server there. The configurations, or the for the configurations, we have to prepare the documents there, the procedure guidelines, and we have to see waste so much time on the verifications that whether the implementation is successful or not. And in case if on one of the servers something is missed out, it's quite difficult to manage also. So there are a lot of things, there are a lot of time consuming tasks which is there in these implementations where the configuration management tool was not there, and we used to manage all the things quite manually there. So that this is the traditional procedure which was used to manage in different platforms there. So I think I have already mentioned that due to the introduction of the cloud platforms, things become more complex. Servers becomes more and more servers gets created to your infrastructure there, and there was a need to manage all these servers from a single system there, and that is the reason why the introduction of configuration management tool in DevOps comes there, right? So before going with the next PPTs there, so anybody having any doubt as of now, please let me know.
Anuj,
Hello. Hello, somebody was unmuted there. Yes, tell me.
hello.
Hello.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, my question is you said we can destroy and create the servers using the configuration management tool. Is it right?
No, 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 no. The
Okay.
thing is that we can provision the servers. For example, when you create a AWS servers, when you create a servers in your Oracle stack or something like that, so you can create the servers on there, but you can provision it. You can prepare the servers. For example, if you want to install LAMP stack, so instead of doing all the things like manually, like Apache, MySQL, and PHP and all, you can create a LAMP script and you can simply execute it. And in future also, if any comes up there, you can include that into the Puppet there, and then easily you can manage those changes on that server.
Yeah. Thank you.
There are some modules in case of Ansible and Chef and Puppet, where basically specifically in Ansible, I have personally used that module where you can even create the virtual machines in AWS, Azure, VMware stack from the script itself. So from there, it's possible to create the servers, and then you can furthermost manage those servers using Ansible there. But not every server. So if because there are limited integrations there. So Ansible is having integration with AWS, Azure, and VMware stack that you can create the servers. You can create the virtual machines using the configuration management tool. Scripts there. So that is possible from those tools. You can create, you can delete the virtual machines, you can stop, start, all those tasks you can do it, but to a limitation and also to a limited website there. So AWS, Azure, VMware, these are supported there. But if you're looking forward for some custom server, some custom virtual machine there, definitely it will not be available there. So but only to a limited kind of integration there, they you can do, or you can achieve these tasks there.
Hello, sir, am I audible?
Yes, Manoranjan. Your voice is
My question is
your,
about.
your voice is breaking, Manoranjan.
Let me check. Is it better now?
No, 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 it's still.
Hello.
Hello.
Is it better?
No, Manoranjan, it's basically.
Manmohan, Manoranjan, you can type in chat box.
Yes, Manoranjan. So
Hello.
is there with the mic or something like that, so you can type in the chat window. I have opened the chat window.
Yeah, is it better now?
Yes, yes.
My question is like all things configuration and will it
Are
be
you
in
wait?
Jenkins?
Are you connected through Manoranjan and this
Yeah,
Manu
man.
name
Right.
also? Yes.
Yeah, because that laptop was causing issues, so I connected with phone now.
Okay, okay. Now it's working fine. Yeah, yeah. That time it was equal. Yeah, go ahead, please.
I was asking like we can do all the configuration thing in Jenkins as well. So what the advantage of Puppet?
See, that is where again the issue is there, because in Jenkins, what you will be doing, you will having a implementation. You have to install the Jenkins client on the servers there. Then you will be typing the shell commands, right?
All right.
So what about, for example, if you want to do a kind of for example, you want to do the deployments, so you will have to write the shell scripts on those servers. You have to write the shell scripts and specifically do the SSH on individual servers and then uh, execute your procedure, right?
Correct.
So in that case, what will happen that you have the whole connectivity dependent on your SSH, and you don't have a single software or a single server in which you can say that okay, and also some limitation is there that you cannot do parallel changes there. So there is a sequence there. So if the previous SSH is successful, then the next SSH will work. If in any case any step is failed in case of Jenkins, the next step is not configured there. So there are some limitations on Jenkins where you will not be able to first of all do the changes parallelly there. You cannot have much when we do the deployments. We don't do the deployments manually with the help of this Jenkins there. It will take you number of hours there to install on 100 servers and 200 servers there. So the kind of management we can do it on Jenkins is only limited. So it is basically there considered as a build tool. Okay, so it is also having a limitation there, and also there are pre-configured modules which is available there in this configuration management tool, which is not available there in Jenkins. So if you have to do some task in Jenkins, you have to do everything from scratch. You have to write the scripts from scratch. But if you want to do some modifications of file or some modifications, some package installation and all, it is quite available as a modules in case of this configuration management tool. So it is quite easy to automate in configuration management tool. The size of the scripts is also less, and it is also reliable because you don't have to worry or you don't have to depend on the whole Jenkins setup there.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, because if you keep or 200 300 servers on inside Jenkins will take forever time duration for doing all these setup and working on those automation there.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, anybody else having any doubts? Anybody having any doubts? Can we proceed further? Okay, let's proceed further then. Ajay, you're having any doubts? You are unmuted there. Okay. So Ajay, I'm just muting you so that we don't get any kind of disturbance from background there. Okay. So let's start with the the remaining tasks there. Now, in the previous slides, we talk about the various tasks, the introduction there, and some of you have already asked that that why we can choose other in applications like Jenkins or TeamCity or anything like those kind of tools for these tasks. So the main differences between these tools and the configuration management tool is that Jenkins is a build tool there, and there is a performance limitation to that also. Um, I'm not sure if you have seen there, but I have seen a lot of builds which, if runs for 30 minutes or 40 minutes there, the whole Jenkins becomes unstable there. So you cannot run 1 or 2 hours of procedure on Jenkins quite effectively there, and then you have to run it on all the 300 servers, 200 servers, or that kind of a huge infrastructure cannot be managed by a Jenkins there, because the whole purpose of using Jenkins is altogether different. You can manage 3 4 servers using Jenkins instead of configuration management tool, but that again gives you a lot of performance issues while working on that. So there is a huge difference between these two softwares here. Now, what are the various features of a configuration management tool? Let's talk about that. So configuration management tool basically helps us to control the changes of the software, to control the changes and the modifications which we are trying to perform on our servers. That is what we can manage through the configuration management tool. It also helps us by keeping all these scripts, all the configuration management scripts, the infrastructure as code in the repositories. We can easily do the versioning to this code. Tomorrow, I want to do some modifications. I can create a new version of the scripts. I can work on that part, but nobody is impacting, nothing is going to harm your script because you have the older version also available there. So this configuration management tools gives you a comfort where it gives you the the different versions of your source code, and anytime you can see or you can refer any old version of the source code also there. So all your changes and your modifications will be there in the system in the version control there. So also when we do the modifications there, for example, we can test our scripts by by running it on 1 or 2 servers there on test machines there. So we can, before going for the production release, we can do a testing like normally we are doing for any release there. We can do the testing on test environments and see if our scripts is ready or not, if any changes is needs to be done to the scripts or not there. And all these things which we keep it or which we write in this configuration management scripts is basically in a standardization format, which means that nobody is going to write in his own way. Everything will be there in standard, and that is something which you cannot achieve in Jenkins, because this standardization is enforced by the configuration management tool itself, which means that the syntax and all everything you have to follow. And if you're doing it doing something wrong, you have to your script will be failed, your compilation will not be there, and definitely you have to rewrite the script and you have to work again there. So these are some of the features, some of the things which you have to take care while working on your script, and that helps you to understand that how these tools, how these configuration management tools are important in order to have effective changes and effective tool there, right? So these are some of the things which is there. Now, what is the features of Puppet? And because Puppet is before this one we were just talking about the generic configuration management tool. Now we are specifically talking about the Puppet and what are these features. Puppet is one of the configuration management tool which is available there as an open source. You can install it there. There is an enterprise version which is also available there in Puppet, which you can purchase with a license and with a proper cost there. But if you and me want to install Puppet, we can easily do it without having any kind of cost or without giving any cost there. So Puppet is the oldest tool which is available there in this field in configuration management tool, and it was basically designed on Ruby platform, and Ruby is required for this Puppet there. And you also need to write the scripts in Ruby language, which means that you need to have a development knowledge of Puppet or in that case. But since I told you that 80% and more than that, 80% the scripts are already ready made available there, so you can anytime use the modules and you can start working or you can start managing your infrastructure there. So these are some of the features which is available there at Puppet. So all the other generic benefits of configuration management tool applies to Puppet also there, like managing all the 100 servers, 200 servers, or bulk servers at once itself with a single tool, by managing changes to a lot of servers at by sending the changes to different servers at once itself. So all these features which is basically available there for for a particular configuration management tool is also implies to this Puppet also there. So these are some of the features which is available there to the configuration management tool. So different features again, same slides here. What are the different other features? Okay, so Rubina has asked a question that where exactly we can integrate this Puppet in our in our pipelines or wherever. So I'll give you a scenario. I'll give you a generic way where exactly we put up on this one here. We all know Jenkins is one of the tool, one of the um, basically a build tool which helps us to manage the builds there, right? So what we do is that as a part of a build job, in the last we mentioned that if the build is successful, for instance, your build is successful, your test case is also executed successfully there. In the end, we mentioned that we trigger the Puppet scripts there, and then the whole purpose or whole task will be there with Puppet to do the deployment to all those servers there. So what we do is that we integrate our Puppet tool with the build jobs there, so that once the build is done, we will send the request for the deployment to the Puppet software, and Puppet software will take all those requests, process it, and deploy it across the environment there. So this is what which is basically being done by a Puppet. That Puppet will take care of all these modifications and changes, and that is where it's doing all the deployments and all. So we integrate in Jenkins, we create a separate job, we create in the same job, we add it as a build step, or we add it as a pod build step. Puppet plugin is available there in Jenkins, using which we can execute any kind of script on any other node there. So all these things is basically done or integrated with the your build tool, so that you can achieve a CI/CD pipeline in your deployment there. So we have a question from Deepak that Docker is also doing the deployment through images. How Puppet deployment is different from that, or how any tool, like for example, the Excel deploy, Urban Decode deploy, the Docker images, how these are different there. See, when you say about these products, then you must also understand that these products only survive or only provide a limited, benefits there. If we talk about deployments, Urban Code Deploy, Excel Deploy, or any other deployment tool, they only gives you the WAR file deployment, some file migration, some some exe migrations. So only these kind of tasks can be done by these tools there. You cannot install a software with the Excel Deploy, Urban Code Deploy, or any tool like that. Similarly, when you talk about Docker there, Docker is only there for those applications which can be containerized, or which can be integrated as a microservices there. But about those applications like banking applications, like EJBs, like enterprise applications, which is like of GBs, but about those applications. So definitely the scope of all the other tools or any tool is limited to itself only. But Puppet and any configuration management tool is one of the tool which is a very generic tool, which can be implemented. Now, if you want to if you want to manage Docker images through Puppet, you can do it. If you want to trigger some Urban Code deploy, you can trigger it from Puppet there. But Puppet is a generic tool. There you can do the deployments. You can manage the Docker images. You can, like I said, create the servers. You can, install the Apache packages. You can do the Oracle installation. You can upgrade the Oracle. You can upgrade the operating system. So the scope of Puppet is basically is more as compared to any other tool there. Other tools are only there for a specific to scope, and they are only doing the deployments of WAR files, ER files, or any sort of that deployment. But Puppet is one of the tool which is basically doing end-to-end integration, end-to-end automation. Not only the package installations, but yes, software installations. If you want to create a lab, environment, if you want to create a Oracle, if you want to create MySQL database installation, Postgres installation, if you want to install Nagios, if you want to install Git, any package, any software you want to install, you can write it there in the Puppet or any configuration management tool, and you can achieve it. But the same thing cannot be achieved with Docker, Excel deploy, Urban Code deploy, or any sort of that tool there. So yes, Deepak, it depends on our requirement which tool we choose there. Because if you want to only survive for the deployment, you can integrate the Urban Code deploy with Jenkins, and that's it. But if you want to do it, now again the problem is with Urban Code deploy, it will take you a lot of cost, lot of integrations to have 20, 30, or even 100 servers or 200 servers added to your cluster. So it depends. These tools becomes more complex there if you want to put there. But Puppet is a very straightforward thing. The more and more agents you add to the cluster, to the Puppet cluster there, it will simply put the changes or post the changes to those servers there. So that's the benefit of using the Puppet or any configuration management tool. So this Puppet is basically used to manage all the Unix and Windows based platforms. You can manage any kind of platform there. It was launched in 2005, before AWS it was launched, and it's almost what, it's almost 15 years now. Next year it will be of 15 years. So it's 14 years old tool which is there. It is under the Apache license, which means it's 100% free. There is a paid or enterprise version which is available there, which you can use to install it on your production environment. It uses a Ruby DSL language to create the scripts and all. We call it as Puppet Manifest, in which we write all this infrastructure as code. If we want to install a package or whatever the things we want, we write it in this manifest files. In this manifest files, we include the resources we want to manage, whether it's a file, folder, package, or whatever the things you want to manage. You can easily manage it with this manifest files. So all these tasks are basically managed by these tool, and Puppet is a lone tool which can manage which can manage all these things there. Not only the deployments, but package installation, files, modifications, everything there. So this is the architecture which is basically followed in a configuration management tool, or specifically we call it as Puppet here. We have a Git repo in which all the repos, all the files, all the manifest files, and all these things will be stored there. Then we are having a Puppet master in which we add different agent. For example, you want to manage all these servers. So what you have to do is you have to install Puppet agent on all these 3 servers, and then the Puppet agents will be integrated with the Puppet master, and this Puppet master will be managing all these servers there. So it basically communicate with each other over the HTTP or HTTPS protocol. It works in the master slave architecture. If this agent is down, there will be no connectivity between the master and this agent or this client machine there. So this agent should be always up and running there, which means that as part of onboarding of this agent to the master server, you have to install this agent on these different clients there, so that you should be able to manage, or you should be able to communicate with that server there. So this agent, this client machine, is mandatory for connecting or managing this agents there. If any agent is down, there is no connectivity, there is no connection between the master and the slave there. So you have to first of all add a agent to the chef server, and then only you will be having, or you will be able to apply the changes to the to these Puppet slave machines there. So all the changes, all the scripts, we keep it there in the Puppet master, and from there the Puppet agent, after every 30 minutes or 40 minutes, it sees if any new changes are there. It will simply pull those changes and execute it there. So this is the architecture. This is the basic architecture which is followed by this configuration management tool. And if you see other configuration management tool also, this is the same architecture they are also following. So there is not much difference which is available there in these scripts or these different tools here. Right. So this is the architecture, how the client server architecture works there. So this is the way that how the the request has been sent to the from the master to the agents there. So agent gets connected with the master over the period of times, and it pull all the changes there. It sees if any changes are there to in on the Puppet server or master server. So it pulls the changes and execute there. So the connection between these two servers are depending on the agent there. If agent is down, the whole environment or whole server will not be managed there. So we can manage different things as part of this manifest files. Whatever we mentioned in this manifest files, we can manage the the files. We can manage the packages. We can create some files. We can delete some files. We can manage some packages, install some packages, delete some packages. A lot of tasks we can do it with the help of these manifest files there. So in this manifest files, the various resources we can manage, and these resources basically helps us to say, okay, I want to deploy, I want to install some package, so I will go for these resources there. So all these resources, when you mention there, these will be picked up there and will be executed and managed in the infrastructure there. So this is what we basically provided, or we basically added to our configuration management tool scripts there. Yes, Deepak. So it depends on our requirement, which configuration management tool we choose. And all the organizations, big organizations like Amazon, Netflix, and all, definitely they will not be having one or two servers. They are having huge number of servers, and they don't want to have a huge number of resources just to do a SSH and do the changes there. So all the big organizations who are having a huge number of stack or huge number of servers, they basically use the configuration management tools in modern age to manage all the resources there, because they cannot do it with other tools like Jenkins or any other tool there. They have only this configuration management tool from where they can write the scripts or write the manifest files once, and that can be executed or implemented across multiple servers at once itself. So they don't have to worry. They don't have to put more efforts again and again on those scripts. And once it's created, it will be implemented on all the servers at once itself. So that's the benefit. That's the overall benefit we get with the help of of this configuration management tool. So this is how you see here that the various resource type which we can manage over here is the file, package, user, service, group, various things there. You want to create a user, you can do that. So there are a lot of other resources which is available there. For example, if you want to do an installation of OpenSSH, this is the procedure. This is the code in which we are saying the name of the package and the state that yes, we need to install it, we need to make it there. So this is how we manage the resources. We write in the scripts that okay, this is the procedure which you need to follow. And if this same script, I want to run it to 200 servers, all the 200 servers, this package will be installed there. So with just writing the source code once, you can achieve it on multiple servers there, and you don't have to worry that again and again you have to run it, or how you will be managing those resources, how you will be executing in all those servers there. So all those things can be simply removed, or all these things can be removed with the help of this configuration management tool. So you just have to write it once, manage it once there, and multiple servers can be configured with that. Right? So this is the way that how you start a service there. So like this, there are different modules, different integrations which is there, and you just have to call it there. You just have to call this integration in your scripts, and that integration will be implemented there. So that is the reason why these configuration management tools give you variety, not only the package installation or application deployment. A lot of tasks can be done with the help of this configuration management tool.
और इंडेक्स बॉन्ड जो है ना वो सीधा नहीं कोई वो करते, क्योंकि इंडेक्स बॉन्ड सबके अलग अलग हर कंपनियों के हैं, लेकिन कॉन्सेप्ट वही है.
Okay, so this is where how the different resources is managed by the configuration management tool. So this is the manifest files where you keep the manifest files there, and you mention that what are the different servers or what are the different nodes on which you want to manage these resources there. So this is the information. These are the different scripts you write, different files you write in your Puppet, which helps you to way that how these nodes or how these nodes should be integrated or should be implemented there, right? So in Puppet, if you don't want to use the modules, you have to create the classes. If you don't want to use the inbuilt or the pre-installed modules, what you can do is that you can install, or you can uh, create or install your own softwares, or you can create your own modules by creating the classes. Like this, you can give the class name and the code base of the Ruby which you want to do to manage the resources there. So you have to provide, or you have to do this customization in order to achieve your own task. For example, if you want to have like what kind of tasks you want to do, so you can do it by the help with the help of adding those changes as a custom class. You can create the class there, and you can work on that setup there. So this is the procedure which you follow when you want to do, or when you want to do the configuration here in the class form of classes. Right? So we write the scripts, we write the various scripts, the various class and all. I'll give you a examples also. I'll show you the example of a class file in which we define that how exactly we can create the class. For example, I must be having that. One second. See, this is how I create a class in which we I create a class called Apache 2. In that I'm saying that this is the package to be installed, this is the service to be to run there. So these are the different information, these are the different things which we are providing there, that yes, this is the information we need to take care while installing or while working on any package there. So all these things you basically write in your custom script, so that in case that you don't have any kind of module available there, you want to work on your own. So you will work on these things and say that, okay, I will create my own script, my own source code, and you will manage the resources on your own here. So those things, when you want to do the automation or when you want to do a custom automation, you will write the classes like this, and you will store it into your Puppet server there. And from there, it will be executed on all the other nodes or all the other Puppet agents there. So that's the kind of customization which gives you there, because like I said that 80% of that the scripts are ready, but still, if you have some script which is not available there, you have to write the classes for that in a pure Ruby source code there, and that is where you will be able to implement, or you will be able to manage the resources there. So this is what you need to do in your project or in your application there. So this is kind of example in which you create a class, and you do the or you do the setup, or you do the installation of the packages and all those things over there. So this is the overall procedure which you follow in your application, right? So like I said, different modules is available there on the website of this chef. You can scroll on there, you can install any package, you can search any module, and you can go through that particular part and say, I want to have a Apache module to install on across multiple servers, MySQL, Oracle. So all those modules are available there, and you just have to call, or you just have to you know install those modules across different servers there. But if you want, the same way that I have shown you the class, the same way you have to create a custom class there and save it as a module there. So it's your wish whether you want to use the pre-configured or pre-available module there, or you want to set up, or you want to install your own custom module there. So both the requirement, both the things are available there for your customization. right? So this is the kind of a class which is basically there, in which you're saying that okay, I want to install a JDK Java JDK package there, and then you want to install a Tomcat Apache package. So all these things you are basically providing in your in your script, that how you want to manage the package, or how you want to manage some resources. And this is the same way that how it will be implemented across multiple servers there. So you can see here that through the source code, through writing the source code, you are achieving some specific task, and that tasks need to be executed and to be managed on various servers there. Now you do this installation on 100 servers, 200 servers, it doesn't matter. It is only matter that you just created the script once, and multiple time you can use it and you can work on those scripts there. That's the whole purpose of using this configuration management tool here. Right, so in this manifest files, like I said, that it's basically the way in which we execute or we write the scripts, that how the procedure should be there, what are the resources we want to manage, whether we want to modify a file, whether we want to modify a package. These are stored there in the, you can store these in the version control also. The extension for this one is .ppp. From there we can say that these are the manifest files. In this manifest files, the complete source code is there, that how you want to manage, how exactly you want to manage the resources there, whether you want to modify a file or folder or something like that. So everything is basically depends on this manifest files. So whenever we get any requirement to do some modifications, we write it there in this manifest files and we run it there. So the single the single created manifest file can be executed across multiple servers. You don't have to create the manifest files on the basis of nodes. You can create it across the multiple servers and run it there. So it is not only a node specific manifest file which is available there. It's a generic ones which you can run it on any number of servers there. So without any kind of limitation. Okay. So the resources, again, we have already talked about that you can manage the resources like packages, files, folders. You want to create a file, you want to install a package, you want to do some configuration changes. Each and everything can be managed. These kind of things can be managed with the help of these resources in our system here, in our Puppet platform here. So you can manage these resources with the help of these to do the setup, that how this is how the whole setup, or this is how the whole mechanism is mentioned there. Okay, so what happens in this whole cluster, what we do is that we install the Puppet master, and then we install the Puppet agent on the various servers there, and then we establish the connectivity between the master and the client software there, which says that yes, that this is the client machine, this is the Puppet master to whom you want to connect, and those kind of things there. So this is a connectivity there which we establish between the master and servers and the client server, which helps us to achieve that how exactly the connectivity is established and how we are trying to do the setup there. Right. So then on those clients which we added to the master, on those clients, these resources are managed and these modifications to these resources is being done there. So the Puppet installation is basically done in a Puppet master client architecture there, where we will be installing a Puppet master server, and then we will be having a Puppet client. And on this Puppet master, what we do is that we basically install the Puppet software, and then on the client machine, we will be installing the Puppet agent. So that agent will interact with the Puppet master to fetch all the changes and those things there. So it is basically a client server, master slave kind of architecture, which is followed in this Puppet here. And it's the same process which we follow in any other configuration management tool also. So it's a generic setup, or it's a generic architecture setup which we perform in various uh, configuration management tools.
So I have one question here. So, like, we are having thousands of systems, right? So we have to install all the 1,000 systems, the agent on those 1,000 systems, or how it will work?
It's a one-time activity that, for example, in your infrastructure, you are having 500 servers and you want to manage it. So the fact is that you have to install the agents on all the servers, once, and then you don't have to do anything at all, or not even the SSH connectivity on those servers. From the Puppet master itself, you will be able to push the changes to all those servers there. So you don't have to do any further setup to those servers because you just install the Puppet agent there, and after that, Puppet master will have the full control on all those servers there.
So any change or anything like that needs to be deployed, it will be handled by the master, and it will push them to the all the agents. No, there is no such mechanism when any agent can come and poll the request. I need this update, or is there anything got updated?
The
So
thing is that what happens that we write the scripts on Puppet Master, we keep it there itself. So what happens that the tools like Puppet and Chef, they have the polling strategy, they have the polling mechanism where they will poll after every 30 minutes or 40 minutes that if new changes are there or not. And whenever they find out new changes, they execute those changes on the site. So that's a one way of doing the installation. But we can disable it. We can disable that setup and say that we don't want that kind of modifications. We only want the push based modifications. That whenever I execute some command on on this chef or this chef or this Puppet there, then only those changes will be pulled up and the installation will be done there. So these kind of things is basically what we achieve in this configuration management tool.
okay. And I have one more question, trailing to the Manoranjan's question. He has asked, we can do the same kind of thing using Jenkins, and why we're using the config management tool. So, we are running the Jenkins. It is also taking our infrastructure. So I am trying to understand. So help me understand. When we are installing Puppet, so you said the commercial version of Puppet is paid, and otherwise it's open source or free, we can say. So how much server cost, or it takes? Is it very much similar to Jenkins, the lightweight, or it's very heavyweight, the CMS tool?
These configuration management tools are not that much heavy applications like WebSphere or something like that. There, it does not requires much of the resources. But the thing is that if you have more servers, more parallel requests will be there. So you should have a decent server with good amount of RAM and resources and disk should be there in order to install Puppet Master. It is not advisable to install these kind of software or applications on a server with 1 GB RAM or one core or something like that. So you should have a minimum a good amount of infrastructure so that if more and more servers also increase in future, your server should be able to manage those resources.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Right?
Yeah.
So yes, so regarding the installation part there, so I have a brief setup over here. I have already a Puppet cluster with me. So I'll give you a brief on what kind of package installation you require here. Like I said that it's not a big application and does not require much of the installation procedure. So the only fact is that you have to follow, for example, you have to install these packages onto the server, and after that you just have to the service will be installed there. And I'll give you the overview on the server also while opening these files which we have done here. So the Puppet package is available. You can easily install it. So this is the Puppet package which we have installed. With the same package, you have the Puppet master and the client machine, the Puppet agent software also there. But since I'm making a Puppet master server, so I will be installing the Puppet master here using this command. And then we can start the Puppet service which we want to have. So this is the Puppet master service which is running on the Puppet master service there. So whenever we create, for example, let me open the server here. So you can create this pretty much on any one server there. I have choose my Google servers where I have two servers. One is like Puppet master and one is Puppet client here. See, this is a Puppet master and this is Puppet client. So I have created this master on a one core and 3.75 GB RAM. Pretty much RAM available there for managing the resources. So when I connect on these two servers, so for example, I have connected to these two servers. One is the Puppet master and one is the Puppet client there. So Puppet master, the setup, you have to do it once only. You don't have to do anything at all on this server once it is ready there. So if you see here, the Puppet master setup is more. If you see, scroll down here. But if you talk about the agent installation is only of 3-4 commands only. That's it. These are the only setup which we require to be done on the agent there. So agent does any kind of configuration there. But in agent, you just mention that what is the name of your Puppet master here, the IP address of the Puppet master. For example, my IP address of this Puppet master is 10.142.0.3. So you can mention there in the Puppet in configuration of Puppet there that this is how it is mentioned there. For example, let me show you the various configurations. Apart from the installation, you don't have to do much of the setup or much of the configuration there. So what happens over here, just for the pinging purpose here and making the things little clear, I have done a very simple setup or various simple configurations here. So what I have mentioned over here is that you see here that I have written in my Puppet client in my etc host here that this is the Puppet master 0.3 as a IP and 0.4 as a Puppet client here, just in the etc folder there. So what I'm doing is that instead of IP address, I'm using the domain names here, like Puppet -master. Like I'm showing you here that in the client I'm saying Puppet -master. So just for the easiness and for better clarity, what I have mentioned these information there, that Puppet client is their 0.5 server and Puppet master is 0.3 server. That is what I have mentioned here. Even if I use the IP address instead of the domain names also, that should be 100% fine for for the setup there. So once the setup is done, you will be, I'm just giving the values in the etc host value, and that's how it working there. For the main configuration, after that, you just have to change only one configuration which is available there. And the same thing, you do it into the agent also there. So in this one, I'm mentioning that the cert name and the DNS alt name, whatever the domain name you're giving there in this, Puppet master here. You can choose to give the IP address also there. But for better understanding, like Puppet master, Puppet client, and so that is where I have provided or I have used this domain names over here, for which I have already added the entry in this particular etc host here. So from here I am using the Puppet-master, and that is what you have to provide here. So after this one, the Puppet is running onto your system. I will say right, it runs on my system here, and it runs on 8140 here on the server, on the master server. It runs on 8140 port here. So Puppet master, it is basically available there on these ones, which basically on which we basically install the Puppet software or a Puppet master application here. It does not require much of the resources because it's basically on the platform of Ruby, which is a very lightweight environment which is available so that you want to connect or you want to manage your resources here. So it does not take much of the resources, and you can you don't have to worry about the resources, and you can anytime manage those tasks there. So that's the purpose of using this Puppet Master, and you just have to do these things once here. You don't have to do this setup again and again each time you want to modify any agent or something like that. So the agent installation can be done on multiple servers. So the more and more servers will be there in your infrastructure. So the more agents you have to install or you have to install on your infrastructure there. So in some situations, like you can create an image of an existing server on which you have installed the agent, and all the new servers which you will be creating for your infrastructure, it's better to have that agent installed the agent pre-installed on those servers there. So that is the further automation which you can achieve once your Puppet software or once your Puppet application is in the place there. So that depends on you, that how you want to manage or how you exactly want to do those things there. So we can also see what are the different modules which is available there. If you want to get various commands on Puppet, so these are the Puppet's commands there. Okay, so I was using S there. So what I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to see that if any kind of a module for Apache installation is already available or not. So what it does is basically try to search onto the Puppet website. I'm not searching from a third-party website or something like that. It's trying to search it onto the Puppet website and try to fetch what are the different modules which is available there in place or in order to have it like the Puppet there. If I copy paste this whole URL and hit it onto the browser, it's like a marketplace for the Puppet where all the Puppet scripts it's a kind of a community that all the developers has provided their ready-made images or ready-made scripts on there. For example, we talk about Jenkins. So Jenkins might be already providing their the scripts by created by them. If we talk about MySQL, so MySQL also vendor have already provided the scripts for managing or installing the MySQL there. So it is basically the websites which is already providing us the different modules which is available there. You see here that all the different modules from various authors it is basically provided here. See, it is provided by Splunk. It is by this particular user. These are the different users which is available there, and whichever the module you want, you can install it. For example, if I say I want to search for MySQL. Now you see here that Puppet Labs -MySQL. This one is basically there to install, configure, and manage MySQL service there. So this is basically provided by Puppet itself. So you can see here the author is Puppet Labs, which means that it's authenticated and the official image, which is official scripts, which is provided by Puppet here. So I can choose here Puppet-MySQL, and I say that Puppet module. First of all, I'm listing what are the different modules which is available there. For example, Puppet, Concat, Stanlib already available there. So I can say Puppet install the name of the module here. So what will happen? The Puppet MySQL module will also be downloaded from the website of Puppet and it will be imported here, which means I don't have to write the script for installing the MySQL on all the my servers there. I already have the module available with me. So this is something which you cannot do it into the Jenkins or any other application, because there you have to write the scripts from scratch, and you cannot do anything at all about that because you have to do pretty much everything from scratch. But this is some of the way in which you can import the modules from the website, and you can basically import it, and you can basically run it or install it on any other server there. So you don't have to worry about the scripts, because these scripts are ready made, and some of these scripts are basically available from the Puppet labs officially itself. So you have 100% clarity that yes, these scripts are 100% authenticated, and you don't have to worry about the bugs and issues in that part. Right, so this is the module. So this is the way that you want to have it. So you can delete, you can remove a module also from your system, and that module will not be imported or will not be done there. So if you want to, you can see here that as of mine, this is the Puppet master which is available there, and there is a Puppet client which is added here over here in this Puppet cluster there, and this is the client machine which is available there, or which is integrated or added here as a Puppet. So from the client perspective, you do not do much of the steps there. For the installation on the Puppet master, you just have to install the Puppet package and just modify it, the configuration, and just mention whatever the name of the master here. I'm not using an IP address here, because again here also for the easy representation, I have added it into the etc host here. You can see here. So here I have just mentioned the Puppet-master, and what will happen that this particular node will gets connected to the Puppet master, and it will do the polling over there. And from there, this is added into the Puppet master there. So definitely this node will be authenticated by this master server, and whatever the changes they want to do, that will be pulled or that will be downloaded on that client machine there. So I have already done some installation. For example, I have done some module installation and some module uninstallation, right? So if I run here a basic command to test the agent, so this is the agent which is there, and here on this one a Puppet service gets running there. So if I see, you see here that it's basically applied catalog and all. It is basically coming because it's doing the polling to the system, to the to the server, to the Puppet server here. See here, every 30 minutes it's trying to connect, and when you say here, see here, so every 30 minutes there is an entry that from there that it is that client, the Puppet client is connecting to the Puppet master, and it's saying compiled catalog there. And here also it's doing a polling to the Puppet master where it wants to have the connectivity established there. So every 30 minutes by default they have the connectivity, and the Puppet client will connect to the Puppet master and try to fetch if any new changes or any new modifications are there or not. So on the same side, we have this agent command there. When you hit on this one here, you see we removed some of the Apache files there. So that is the reason why it got removed from my Puppet client server also available there. So whatever the things we are doing onto the Puppet master server, this is just the forcefully doing, like Puppet agent -t. This is what we are doing it when we want to forcefully do the installation, or when we want to forcefully run the agent there. But by default, this agent will be executing on every 30 minutes there. After every 30 minutes, this will be executed, and it will sync the changes from the Puppet master. But if you want to do it manually, if you want to do it like if you want to override that, you can use or you can run this agent command manually, so that the changes can be overridden there, and you will be able to manage the resources. So this is the way that how you manages, or this is the way that how you connect the the client with the master there, and you can establish that connectivity. So this will help you to to have to sync the changes from the Puppet master and to manage and implement it onto the Puppet client machine there. So if you don't have that kind of connectivity, obviously these changes will not be pulled up, or these changes will not be pulled from the Puppet master, and no changes or modifications will be done there. So all these things, all future installation and everything will be done quite easily when we have this connectivity, and it will help us to implement that.
हाँ जी मोड़ लीजिए
Right, so this is the way that how the connectivity is established, and you can see here this whole document is there, and it's not much of the task, much of the setup which is there. You just install one package, and then you just have to edit, in which you just mention the the name of the master server, the IP address or the domain name, whatever you want to mention. And on the client side, you just have to mention the master server IP address or domain name of the of the Puppet master there. So this is what we perform, or this is what we added there into our setup or into our cluster, which helps us to do the management, or which can easily help us to do the installation or those kind of tasks there. Right. So this is the way that how the the node is added to the various Puppet master there, and this is just one time activity. You can see here that once it is added, it's having the direct connectivity, and there is a polling system also which is being done every 30 minutes. So which means that if suppose tomorrow you are releasing some content, tomorrow you are doing some modification to the scripts, that will be automatically pushed to the environment there. So you don't even have to do any kind of manual deployment like we are doing in Jenkins. So this is again one of the benefits we get with the as compared to any other tool like uh, you know uh, any other tool like Jenkins or TeamCity or anything like that there. Because here you're not even calling this agent on the different servers. You're just pushing your changes to the Puppet master, and from there all the agents will automatically get synced up, and will automatically fetch all the changes and install it. So you don't have to worry about those changes in deployment also there, because it is automatically getting populated and deployed onto the system. This is the same case in case of Chef also, but this is basically different situation. So Chef basically works on the pull mechanism, where it push and pull mechanism, where it can pull or push both the changes there. But on the other hand, the tools like Ansible and SolveStack, from there we don't have this feature of automatically fetching the changes there. In case of Ansible and SolveStack, what happens that the changes are basically pushed to the client's machine there. So we don't pull the changes in that case. In that case, we only just push the changes to the different node machines there. So this is the main fundamental difference between the various configuration management tools, which is depending on your requirements there. So the main issue with the configuration management tools is the license, which is, I think, every configuration management tool is basically open source, keeping aside the Chef one, because Chef basically after 10 nodes it has the thing that it can handle up to 10 nodes. But other nodes like Chef, sorry, other configuration tools like Puppet, Ansible, and SolveStack, those are totally open source there, and number of nodes does not depends on the license there. So that's the main difference. That's main differences which is available there between the different configuration management tool. So this is the kind of tool which we have discussed about today, that helps us to do the setup or do the installation, or helps us to implement this configuration management tool across our infrastructure. So the setup of the master, this Puppet master, you have to do it once, and all the client machines you can do it in turn to multiple times, or you can have multiple servers added to your infrastructure there. See, that is the same thing. You install the Puppet master server, you write into the the server name, the environment, and the cert name, and then you restart the server. And then the same thing you do it into the Puppet agent. And on Puppet agent, you just giving that what is the name of the server, what is the server name to which you want to connect. So you can connect to a specific server where you want to have the establishment, or where you want to have the client connected to the master server. So that setup you can do it with the help of this Puppet here. So this is the way that how a Puppet software is installed onto the system, onto your package there. And basically whatever the setup, whatever the changes you want to do, you can do it there. So you have to create either these modules manually, or you can import it from the websites of this of this Puppet website here, where you want to follow that. Okay, there are 20 servers or 30 servers there. You just have to import this scripts, and that will be simply deployed across the servers there. So you don't have to worry about the servers, how to manually connect it, how to do those changes there. It will be automatically done across these servers. So that is what we have here in this configuration management tool. Obviously, it is a very huge task. So definitely the installation, the configurations, the script writing, and all that will be definitely done separately there, in order to implement it, how this whole configuration, or how this whole tool works there. So it is not that the script which you create in Puppet can be used in Ansible. So Chef, Puppet, Ansible, SaltStack, all of them having their own way of writing the scripts, and that you have to follow in order to have that complete setup executed there. So it is not like you can reuse the same script across the multiple configuration management tool. It is just like you have to create these scripts for each and every specific tool there. So that's the kind of limitation which we have here. But yes, if you implement one tool, you have to implement it for the whole infrastructure. You cannot do like multiple tools, multiple configuration tools in your infrastructure there. So you have to at a time use only one infrastructure in your organization. So this is what we have here in this configuration management tool. So obviously the further discussion will be there in the upcoming sessions, in which we will be describing in detail that how it works and how this information works there. So the upcoming session, DevOps classes will be there in the workshops. Classroom trainings will be there on 26th and 27th January in Hyderabad. And we also have an upcoming webinar on Kubernetes and blockchain, for which the dates will be shared to you. And according to that, you can join them there. So that's it from my side. So I will be giving opening the window for the question and answers there, and whatever you want to ask or whatever the doubts you have, you can ask me there. So I'm just opening the chat window. Anybody want to ask any question or something like that, please let me know. This configuration management tool is basically there for those organizations where you are having a huge number of servers there. If you have one or two servers, definitely you will not be choosing this script, this mechanism, because there is really efforts in this tool there, and with one or two servers only for your application does not help you a lot. So this tool basically implements in those organizations where you have a high level of team, a DevOps team who is managing different applications, different servers, and that is where you're managing or you're connecting to your infrastructure, and you're trying to manage all the resources there. So it was basically used for that particular that kind of structure there.
Anuj, I have one question. So
Yeah.
can this tool be used with Kubernetes? when we work in the cloud environment and the provisioning of different containers, so we can do it with the Kubernetes, but the installation and all the things we can manage with this Puppet. Is it possible?
So see, the thing is that what when we will be describing Kubernetes. So the thing is that in Kubernetes, when we do the deployments, right? So that is something which we say that okay, in our Kubernetes cluster there are four server, 4 nodes, which is there. So Kubernetes automatically does that, that replication and that allocation on which node he wants to run that Docker container there. So in Kubernetes, we don't really have much of the scope there. In Kubernetes, when we do the whole setup, for suppose we have done the deployment, we have exposed the service and all, and when we want to do a release, we just run one simple command, and all the new containers gets deployed there. So Kubernetes itself, it's a continuous deployment tool for Docker containers there. So definitely it is doing us all the tasks which we require, or the deployment procedures, or all the requirements is being fulfilled by Kubernetes itself. That is the reason why we use Kubernetes for for the orchestration of containers. So we don't really need the tools like configuration management tool to do that part, because that is already being taken care by Kubernetes.
Okay, thank you.
If you don't want to have a Kubernetes, if you want to do it through configuration management tool, that is where you can do it. That is where you can run the Docker containers or multiple servers. You want to pull the image, you have all those modules available there, and you can do that part. But if you have Kubernetes, there is no scope of of this configuration management tool. It is what we call it as ambiguity of the tools there, where for the same task we are having 4 tools for doing the same task.
Thank you, Anuj.
Anybody having any other doubts? Okay. So if anybody having any doubt, please let me know now, because we have to bind off the session, and we have to close that part. So again, if anybody having any doubts, please let me know. Otherwise, we will close it for today. Okay. Okay, in that case, if no doubts are there, thanks everyone for joining. It was a wonderful session. Hope we see you into the next webinars which is scheduled there. So all the other informations which we have talked about will be provided by the Devlabs. So they will provide you the dates for the upcoming webinars, and and the demos and the sessions there, DevOps sessions there, right? So thanks everyone for joining once again. Yeah, bye bye.